Supposedly, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what you want to call it.
If we're sons of God, why are some of us evil? That's going to be the topic of today, people, for Ricas Platicas. Why are we evil? Why are we good? And what is good and evil?
What is he? Are you evil? I could be evil, depending on what evil is. What's the definition of evil? Look that one up. Google that. Let's find out exactly what evil is.
What evil is?
Yeah, what's the definition of
let's
evil?
try to.
What is the definition of evil before we all get it confused and we're like, okay, what's evil?
Oh, evil.
There might be a misconception of what evil is.
It's the lack of good.
Already find good. It's the lack of evil.
It's kind of one of the toughest topics, to discuss. And for everybody listening, we're not experts. We're not trying to pretend that we're experts, but we just kind of want to talk about this because. Tell them why. Tell them what we're dealing with right now, Jesse.
Okay, we're dealing with the whole issue of all these kids getting separated by the border patrol and getting caged up, and all these kids are crying. Border patrol is actually even making fun of them. They said that they needed a director to direct all the crying because it seemed like they were all together crying at the same time, which is pretty fucked up shit, man. And all you people out there that are for it and all this stuff, man, like, take a look in the mirror. If it was your kid, would you be thinking that this shit's funny? It's not fucking funny. All you people out there, take a good look at yourself in the mirror right now and just think to yourself, if it was my kid, would I think this was okay? It's not okay.
Okay, so Jesse's got some pretty hard passion there going on. I think, man, like, I don't know, to be honest, like, I saw the videos, but I can't really say anything, but there's times when there is greater good on top of all this, for whatever greater good is. I don't know.
What great do you see in it? What good do you see?
Maybe that this is causing people to actually pay attention to this issue now, because.
But instead of making things better, don't you think this issue is just going to make things worse? Because if there was any good, then it's not going to escalate to something bad for negativity like he's feeling about the issue.
Yeah,
for the way them kids are feeling separated from their parents, the way the parents are feeling separated from their child. Unless you have a child and that child is taken from you, you probably don't know what that feeling is, and what they're going through. I can't even imagine what it feels like.
Yeah. No,
yeah. For both the parent and the kid, like what is that kid gonna think of, like, growing up?
That's a memory that kid is gonna take with them forever.
It's an ongoing memory.
And it's
forever.
not anything for the greater good.
And then the other thing that's real crazy is, like, they're trying to justify it by going with scriptures of the Bible. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Really? I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah, they're justifying it by going with scriptures of the Bible. That God wasn't always a good God because he punished certain people and all this other stuff. Okay, you know what? By saying stuff like that, you make more and more people believe, like, yeah, I don't want to be part of your cult, because you become a cult when you start thinking that way, and that's just my opinion.
So, now that you mentioned the Bible, is the Bible where the place to look at for the question of good and evil? Like, is that the place to find the answer? Because
it could be one of them.
That can be answered in so many different opinions. I can say yes, he can say no. He can be right, I can be right. We can both be wrong. It just comes down to everybody's beliefs and faith.
Yeah, a matter of interpretation.
Exactly.
the crazy thing, though, that is that the same book that they say is good, that a good book is also used to back up a lot of nasty stuff that's been done back then by religious people. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, not in a good way, as I feel, because people get so caught up in it that they start, like Jesse said, start backing it up with scriptures.
Yeah, I think one of the things is, like, how you guys are talking about is, like, who's the one that's delivering the message, like, because you can read a passage in the Bible, you can read, like, the message, but then my interpretation is going to be so much different of what I read, and of course I'm going to always mold it to where it benefits me, and I think it's where all these people are benefiting, like, out of it, supposedly, like, well, God wasn't always a good God and this and that, and that's when you start questioning
for the most part, I guess most of us are, believers, Christians. Well, I'm a Christian. You're a Christian too, huh, bro? Jesse's a full-time Christian. We want to hear a different perspective, which is, our friend here, Richard, is somewhat of a agnostic, and he feels different towards this topic. What do you think about good and evil, and is the Bible needed to, I guess, make up for these moral laws and stuff?
What do I think about good and evil? My opinion, again, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
Is that there is no objective good, no objective bad. So what I mean by that is, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, people could say that killing people is objectively wrong, right?
Right.
But those same people will turn on the same cheek and say that, they're therefore, like, say something like the death penalty, right?
Yeah.
So why is killing someone through a legal system okay, but then they'll turn around and say that murder's wrong? When, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So who's to say that that's right or that's wrong? I think we can all come to a general consensus, and as a species or as a human race, and decide that maybe killing each other is probably a bad idea, But that's not to say that it's wrong.
Yeah.
We don't like it,
Because
right?
think about
As
it,
a
like
society,
go back 10,000 or 20,000 years ago, or a little bit more. When we were cavemen and stuff, and stuff got pretty tough, and when it came to competition and survival and all that, and sometimes the good is to protect your family against something like a threat or something,
Right.
But at the same time, you're taking somebody's life. So how is it's crazy because you're doing one thing that seems to be bad, but another thing is good on the same thing.
Now what we're talking about is a separation between good and evil as far as the social view. In front of everybody else's eyes, what is evil, what is good?
Yeah.
If you kill a person, they think it's bad. If that person was a rapist, oh well, that was good. So it's like we're basically leaving evil and good up to what society says.
It is,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly, instead of what
Exactly,
feels good
so-
inside.
Yeah, so there is no objectivity there, in my opinion. It's just we all come to a consensus as a society that that's what's good and that's what's bad. But then again, you go to another side of the world, and what someone else would think is good or bad is totally different than our views. You see what I'm saying? There's no set in stone good or bad. In my
I
opinion.
think that there's another thing with that as well is the whole thing of like most people that are against abortion because it's killing a child are the same people that are like, yeah, death penalty.
Death penalty, yeah.
Like
Kill all the rapists,
how and then now you're actually killing someone that's even older, but yeah, like no, when the person actually doesn't even want it, like a mom that got raped, I don't want this. I don't want this. I was raped. I don't want none of this. Like you have to have it because it's part of life, and you're forcing someone something that they don't want, and then but yet death penalty for sure.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't
That's what I'm saying,
that doesn't
yeah.
make no
So
sense.
are we as humans, playing God? We deciding who lives and who dies by the jury, by ourselves, by our opinions, by our anger and bad decisions. Are we playing God, deciding who lives and who dies?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what's happening.
Oh man.
Yeah, I
that's
can't
so
really.
touchy
I
subject.
can't
It's
say
a
yes
very
or no
touchy
on that.
subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because he made a valid point, when he was talking about, when somebody is convicted and then they give them a death penalty. Okay, they were playing, God or the jury or the judge is.
Yeah, they're deciding to end this guy's life.
Is that right? Is that even right? Whether he committed adultery or whether he killed the child, whether he killed 20 people.
Yeah.
Oh, is it right to still say kill
It's
the
like
guy? Are we in the right?
You're punishing the guy for killing someone by killing him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're no better than he is, are we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And then a bunch of people start going with the Bible like an eye for an eye, and like does it really mean that?
The Bible can back up so many things.
It
man.
can, but it
It's
also
crazy,
puts a lot of
you know?
roadblocks because the Bible says, we can be forgiven for anything.
Yeah,
True or not?
it's very
Except for
it's very
not believing.
And the Bible
for
actually
not
says to
believing.
forgive for everything.
So why don't we forgive those people that are convicted and not
us being on the opposite side of the coin and being on I guess on their shoes and having to deal with this big ass situation of people, coming into your country and people losing order and you got one group of people telling you, do this, and you got another group of people telling you this.
It's pressure.
I guess when you're an asshole, I think it helps you out that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do and not have any consequences, or don't even have to really care what anybody actually thinks of you or anything.
Are you referring to Trump?
I'm referring to. I'm not.
Because it reminds me so much of him when you say those nice words.
Yeah.
I'm not referring just to. I'm not referring just to him. There's a whole group of people that are following him, just like Hitler. He had a whole group behind him as well. Everybody always says Hitler this, Hitler that, but there was a whole bunch of people following him in order for him to be able to achieve what he did. And there has to be a bunch of assholes backing you up to go ahead and put numbers on people, to do what they did to the Jews. Like, I've seen numbers on kids today, like kids, little Mexican kids that have numbers on them. Like, what kind of shit is that? That's all fucked up ass shit.
It sure tends to repeat itself. That's very true.
And when whoever's behind it, you're helping this fucking shit keep on going, no matter what.
I think, like, for example, I pay attention because I think that our human body is kind of a representation of the whole world. Like, the way we operate within us is kind of, in a large scale, the way the world operates. And when I think about it, like, whenever you get sick, right? You get sick for something, you get the flu or something, your body's telling you something is wrong. That's your body trying to fight itself. So I think sometimes, like, the way Trump and people like assholes like that start doing their things, I think it's like a wake-up call for us to, as a country, start realizing, okay, there's something wrong. Because if Trump was the only person who thought like this and nobody else did, then nobody would have voted for him, right? But there's so much people that believe or think the way I guess he was showing himself. So it shows us something that there's people like that as a world or as a country, there's a sickness there, and otherwise you wouldn't see it. If we didn't hear it, you know what I mean? Like, I guess you gotta hear it. You gotta see the other side and let it get loud, kind of like a sickness that starts, bothering you to the point where it starts breaking, and a lot of people start realizing what's going on, and then people start rising up. You know what I mean? I think it's necessary.
I don't know. I think it's more like AIDS. I think that if we don't put a stop to it here pretty soon, everybody's gonna be contaminated with this evilness of what is all this. And it's not just Trump. And I don't want to say that it's Republicans. I don't want to say it's Democrats. I think in general it's just fucking fucked up people. I think a bunch of it's rich people that think of everybody else as less than what they are, and they want to see us as slaves. That's what it comes down to. They've always tried to push everybody down, because I've always said it. Whenever if you're a rich man and you have I don't know, like a corporation or whatever, you don't want the middle class to succeed and eventually one of our kids to overtake your son and be your son's boss. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to your corporation? And I think that's what most of this country, it's what it is. It's break the middle class as much as you can, make it as hard as possible. We're the ones that don't get no free schooling, yet we're probably the ones that our kids would have the chance to actually become something in life. But yet they make it so hard for us not to succeed, because we have the closest chance of actually supplanting their kids as the bosses. Why would you want that? If you're the boss, you would really want one of us to be the boss of your kid? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. These guys think so fucked up that most of these people don't believe in anything. They believe in just themselves and succeeding themselves, in my opinion.
Well, let's try to go back to the whole, essence of what we're talking about, which is, is that bad or is that good? Like, I know we're talking about it right now, and like, for example, the whole thing about the bomb, let me bring an example. The bomb about the nuclear bomb in Hiroshima, or whatever it's called, over there in Japan, whenever in the World War, whatever, that was bad, but after that, something good happened because it stopped the war, right? I guess there's sometimes things like storms and shit that happen in order to, I guess, like I said, give you a wake up call. I don't know. I guess in a way, it's the way you want to see the greater good in things. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of shit we can complain about. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there is a lot of good that is also happening.
In other words, sometimes bad stuff needs to happen for good stuff to prevail.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like
You're just talking about burning the old in order to make the new grow
right.
better.
Yeah, it's kind of like a family thing. I guess you would say the world thing. I mean, for instance, just an example, family. All right, nobody ever gets together, but as soon as there's a death in the family, what happens? That's something bad that happens. But next thing you know, it reunites the whole family.
Right.
So sometimes it's like the world, you know, take something bad, something evil, something horrible, a tragedy, before we wake up and realize, hey, we need to cherish these moments. We need to cherish our families, or you know what we
like
have.
the,
or what
like
we
the
do.
floods in Houston and all
Exactly.
that.
It takes something
things.
bad for something good to come out of it sometimes. The greater good, which was what you were talking about.
Like, you know, I think it's what brings humanity closer together sometimes. You know what I mean? When you see these harsh tragedies happen.
And it's sad that it has to be that way.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a while. I mean, 9/11, you know, something bad happened, what happened? The country came together. You know, Katrina, the country came together.
Which is why I think that it's a thing that has to do with, like, the polar opposites. Like, you can't have good if you don't have the idea of evil. You know what I mean? Like, if everything was good, like, think about it this way. If you were going to a movie and everything was just peachy as fuck, just good, and everything was cool, people were having a good time, the movie goes on 30 minutes and people still having a good time, the movie ends and people had a good time, I promise you that movie would suck. Boring. What's the point of just fucking good, right? On the other hand, if it was just bad, that's also kind of a lame way of seeing it. But the perfect way to make a movie, I guess, as a director, you know, is to have good things at the beginning to kind of show you, and then bad things happen, and then conflict happens, and then you kind of feel like you're about to lose. You know, the conflict is so bad, and then at the end, the good kind of triumphs at the end, right? Which is why I think that kind of humanity is kind of built that way. Like, we have our good moments.
Testing ourselves somewhat.
I guess, you know, we have our good moments, you know, but if we can't just always be like, you know, happy and loving each other, because the same love, and you know, I guess for us that were married and stuff, we realize that the same love that we have towards, like, our wife, it's the same shit we start getting pissed off at. You know what I mean? Like, it contains that bad within it as well, I think. So I kind of see, you know, I was Christian, I was raised Christian, and being raised Christian, you learn to believe that there's good, and then that there's, you know, that bad was second from that. But I became an atheist later on, and then I became an agnostic, and then a Mormon, and then I became a
Then an alcoholic.
well, it's because the whole 7 wives thing kind of got to me. So yeah, I want to try this out.
Sounded
He tapped that
Yeah.
too.
Nah, but yeah, like I started seeing other points of views, and I really kind of dig the Hindu view, which is that bad and evil go hand in hand. Like, they cannot exist without each other.
Balance of life.
You cannot have good
Agreed.
without understanding what bad is. You know what I mean? Just like if you can't have the up if you don't know what fucking down is. Like, the second up is created, there must be a fucking down. You know what I mean? So that's what I think. You know, the world is built on that system. We can't just fucking have amazing globe floating around, because we'd have raves everywhere, and Bob Marley music playing everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's not really a fun world. Like, I think, you know, like, we have shit happening bad.
But yeah, as Christians, that's what we're chasing, is the perfect world.
Yeah, and there's people that believe, like Jehovah's
will never
Witnesses, that believe that,
So
that
you're
this
not
world is
Christian?
gonna be.
We will never have a perfect world.
Well,
Whether I'm Christian, whether I'm Catholic, whatever I am, I don't think we will ever have a perfect world.
Well,
but we
Why?
strive to
Because
get to
God
heaven.
has not made one person perfect. So when you have billions and billions of people on a world that are not perfect, how are you ever going to achieve a perfect world?
But
When
it-
God doesn't make one perfect person.
But in Revelations, it does talk about a perfect world.
I don't think we'll live to see it.
And this is what, okay, you know, Jesus was talking about a perfect world, right? Jesus was talking about a perfect world, and so was Buddha. Buddha was talking about a heaven, a what's it called, a nirvana. They were talking about a heaven. I actually think this is, believe it or not, I actually think this is a perfect world. Because like I said, if you have just bad,
Well, your
or if you
interpretation of a
have
perfect
just
world,
good,
from what he was saying, I'm sure it's two
well,
different
yeah,
worlds.
it's because what you're saying is perfect, meaning all good. That is not perfect, because
That's
all
exactly what I'm
good,
saying. It will never
all
be
good cannot exist, because you can't have all good. If we were all billionaires here, we had the same exact of money, who would be richer than the other? No one. We would be the same shit.
What would be the next goal if we were all the same? Exactly.
Exactly. So you have rich people because you have the contrast of bad people, of poor people. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think this is a fucking perfect world. Believe it or not, I do. I think it's perfect. It's balanced out perfectly. You have good. You have bad peeking out.
It's very balanced. I agree
What
with you on
about
that.
the people that never? Because you're talking about yourself as a perfect, like what you see as perfect, because it has a little bit of bad, a little bit of good, because you've never been just to nothing but bad. What about all that people that just been suffering and suffering the whole time on here on earth? They don't see it as like, where's the
Who
good?
suffers and suffers only?
There's a shitload of fucking people that suffer.
But
and
how would you
suffer.
consider suffering? I mean, just having life itself. I don't
Yeah,
call that
because
suffering.
there's poor people.
Whether you're poor, whether you're rich.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're alive, that's not suffering.
Nah. Yeah.
I
that's
mean, you might not
great.
have
I
what the
agree
next
with
guy
that.
has next to you, but you're
See,
not
because
suffering. You're alive.
I've seen poor people.
I've seen poor people happier than rich
Yes,
people.
exactly.
No, but I'm not referring to that.
Not
I'm
materialistic.
I'm
But how do
referring.
you? What do you mean by
Disease,
suffering?
I'm talking
But
about
he's saying all their life.
all their life. I'm talking about people that are like vegetable, and if you could tell them like, would you rather us just kill you? And they would be like, yes, kill me. There's a bunch of people that look for doctors so they can kill them.
Yeah. Okay.
They're
okay.
suffering.
See, like
People with cancer, a bunch of people with cancer, they say that they'd rather die than be going through that. That people is not. They're not having fun. They're not
Right,
having fun
right.
1 second of their
Well,
life.
nobody's saying that they're having fun, but you're saying suffering all their life. I mean,
They're suffering.
And on the other side of the scale, and what I meant was as a whole. Like me, you know, I'm balanced too, but as a whole, yeah, you got people suffering, dying of disease, but at the same time, you got people living it up, living amazing lives. So that's why you have that contrast of, I think, you know, that you have good people and people that are rich and people that are wealthy and healthy, and you got people that are suffering and dying. And
So you're
Right.
screwed to the look of the draw then. Whatever
Pretty
you get
much.
for life.
exactly.
Yeah, I guess.
And why do
I guess
people
you
suffer?
can say
Why do
that.
people get cancer? Is it because of something good, or is it because of something evil? Back to the subject. And back to your perfect world. If you're suffering, people that are always suffering, how are you going to have the perfect world you were talking about? If there's always suffering, people with cancer.
I was referring to the Bible itself. The Bible in Revelations talks about that there will
Well, I'm
be
not
a
talking
perfect-
religion. I'm just talking about in general of a perfect world and
Well-
our opinions of it.
well,
Not
if-
going to the book about it.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, if you're talking about religion, and if you're a Christian, you would assume that you would follow the rules of your own Bible, and you would
Well,
believe
not
that.
everybody's Christian.
But I'm talking about yourself. I'm talking about me. If we want to believe the Bible itself, then we have to believe the word of it, right? Isn't that the problem, Richard, with a bunch of the Christians that you see that's wrong with it, right? That they don't even follow their own rules, right?
Well, they they cherry pick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like humans with laws, I'm not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to drink and drive. Here we are, and then later we're gonna drive. It's kind of the same thing. We have
Hey,
law
we're
books, we
live.
have Bible books,
We're
we have
live,
other
wait.
books.
We're not drinking and driving. Who say that?
No. But I'm saying, people do.
Yeah, no.
I'm not saying we are. We're the good ones here.
No, yeah. I see what you're saying.
Touchy subject. I mean, everybody, got different things,
It's,
so.
I mean, it's just speculations, really. There's really not a scientific way to say what there is.
Good and
No
bad.
science to what is good and evil. I mean,
To be honest with you, I think the difference between good and evil is what your conscience believes in yourself. You see a dude in front of the line, counting through his pennies trying to get lunch. You throw him a 5, you feel good. Money's the root of all evil, but nonetheless, $5 made that dude say.
so what about?
Actually, that, let me correct you. The love of money is the root of all evil.
The love for money.
Believe that was stronger.
Good one.
Okay.
But see, that's what I think the difference between as far as good and evil goes is what you feel in your conscience. What you feel inside of you, what is feels right. Because everybody knows when they're not doing something they're supposed to not be doing. You know it, but you kind of ignore it. You play it off and say, "Oh, I'm young. Oh, well, I was buzzed. Oh, this and that." Nonetheless, your conscience lets you know what is good and bad.
Yeah, I agree with him because, for example, you know,
Ourselves.
yeah, yourself, I guess, you know, you have a mission or somewhere you want to go. I think that sometimes whenever you fall into tendencies or bad habits that you can only know to yourself to be bad because if they're holding you back, then within you they are bad. Like, for example, I'm not a big drinker, right? But for some people it's good. You know, for some people it's cool to be recreational and chill and have a good time. To some people, it kind of holds them back from other stuff. So yeah, I agree with that. I think it all depends on your person. You know what I mean?
I know I'm the cameraman, but even our say bacteria, you know, in our body, we have good bacteria and there's bad bacteria.
Yeah.
There's bacteria that can kill us. There's bacteria that'll actually take care of us.
Yeah.
What keeps us alive. So, you know, so there's that good and evil back there, and God created us, you know.
Yeah.
So there has to be a bad and evil. It just has to be to keep it balanced.
Yeah.
In life, you know.
Yeah.
Because if you don't go through bad, then you don't know what good is.
Can't tell the difference.
So,
Can't differentiate.
Yeah, you can't.
That's
tell
Yeah, how do you know what good is without having bad?
I saw this this example on the National Geographic how in the jungle, I guess the little small plants at the bottom don't really get enough sunlight, so they can't grow. You know what I mean? They hang on to the big roots and they start taking nutrients from the big roots in order to start growing and taking over. You know, and kind of getting up there. And that's kind of evilish because, you know, you're taking from the other and eventually grow so big that I think they can like kill the other tree, the other plant. I think, you know, and I kind of go back to this, I think the greater good in this stuff. People die because people have to have new opportunities. You know, people have to be born. You know what I mean? In order for people,
It's a cycle.
yeah, it's a cycle.
It's the circle of life. That's
It's
how I like
opportunity.
it.
You know, I see it as opportunity. Why does a lion kill the antelope? You know what I mean? It's bad for the antelope, but for the lion, it means opportunity. It means life. You know what I mean? It means I keep going, survival. So with the same way, you know, something dies. For example, a seed. A seed dies in order for the root to come out. You know what I mean? When something dies, it gives the opportunity. You know, even us, we go into fertilizing fucking plants after we fucking die. You know what I mean? Like it's that cycle. You know what I
Like
mean?
the fact that energy keeps going, energy or so, like, or just basic energy.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think we're as a species one day are gonna die too. You know, I think we're gonna be obliterated, and there's gonna be a new species coming up. You know?
We're gonna kill ourselves.
Yeah, we're probably gonna be killing ourselves.
I think with the,
We are all born to die.
I think with the whole plastic thing, you know, like they say that if we were all humankind die and then another like real smart species comes aboard and whatever, they'll know that there was like smart people here or something smart was here.
Intelligent life.
Intelligent life because of plastic, even though we even killed ourselves because of the plastic. We're killing ourselves right now with plastic because the plastic's going on into the ocean and it's killing a bunch of the fish. It's killing a bunch of the stuff that's out there that it's actually essential for human life. So I think maybe later on, maybe that's what needs to happen, or we're gonna develop a computer that's gonna eventually kill us because the computer's gonna realize that we're the ones that fuck up everything. The jungles, we're the ones that fuck up all the jungles. We go in, we cut them down.
And
the
why?
forest.
Because it's not a perfect world.
Yeah, and then so it goes against all of our beliefs.
Well, see, like I said, it's kind of that's kind of the problem. Look, we're tearing down trees, right? And that seems to be really bad. But at the same time, we have overpopulation in China and places like that where we need space. So either what? We start telling people don't have any kids, lock them up in cages, start killing people, or we start tearing up trees,
Or how
we
about
start taking up nature.
or how about we do something humane and like educate people, especially like that's what I've noticed. Like people that don't have that much money are the ones that want to have the most kids. Like really, like
They don't got jobs, so they stay home and do the do.
well, the thing is with all that is like what is your kid gonna do without no like you're not leaving them anything for them to actually succeed, so you're setting them up for failure, and the government helps out them people. So my thing is this: the government themselves, they see all these kids that are being born every day from poor families, they see them as potential people to go to the army, people to continue the work for the rich, because that's what it is. I mean, in a nutshell, that's what it is. We're
I agree with
slaves,
some of the stuff you're saying. but
slaves to the system.
Before I forget, I don't agree with the part where you say that we're setting up kids for failure. Whether I'm the parent or they're the parent and they're poor and bringing in all these kids.
If you're having,
I don't think you're ever gonna anybody would set up their child for failure like the way you said it.
Well,
I don't agree with
They're
that.
not
Well-
purposely having a kid for the purpose of
To them to fail.
for them to fail.
Yeah,
But-
he's saying
but-
they're setting them up for failure. If you
Well, he's-
in
they're like,
history,
oh, yeah,
no,
a lot
no.
of successful people are from very poor,
The struggle,
families. The
yeah,
struggle.
motivates them
But
to,
Sometimes
to
the
do better
struggle
than where they
makes the
came from.
strongest human being.
okay,
That's true.
yeah, that.
So I would never say. I just agree with just that part. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. I understand that part.
Yeah.
Hey, well, 100%. But the thing is, like, yeah, one of them makes it, and if you had 12 of them, the other 11, what's up with them?
Well, I mean,
You,
that's
still,
exactly
you
what
have
I'm
rich
saying.
kids that are giving everything on a silver platter and they're fuck ups their whole
Yeah,
life.
they
You
go
know
shoot
what
up
I'm saying?
schools.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
and they only have one or two, and they're the ones doing
So
a bigger
do-
fuck up than
is-
the other 12.
So is it smart for poor people to
Oh,
have a
I'm
bunch
not
of
agreeing
kids?
that it's smart. I
Yeah.
never agreed with that. I'm just
We're just
disagreeing
saying
with the
that
part
they-
about
So
failure, that's all.
so they have more than 12 kids. What are they setting them up for?
Cabrón, who has 12 kids?
A bunch of them do.
My grandma.
A bunch of them do.
Damn.
A bunch of them do. Even more than 5 kids. If you're not making enough money and you have more than 5 kids, what are you setting up those kids for?
What opportunities
not
could you
just them,
provide?
maybe even the
Basically,
parents,
is what
you
he's
know.
saying. Is like, what opportunities are you providing
No,
for them?
I understand that part.
You're
but,
not giving them
But to say, hey, I'm gonna have 12 kids, so they can all fail.
No, you never do that.
Just because you got to think that
No.
far ahead, you got to think a lot further ahead than
Oh
that.
no,
You
I
gotta
agree with
prepare
that
for
part.
you
I'm
know
just
what I mean?
saying, I don't think they ever think, hey, I'm setting
No,
them up for
Maybe not
failure.
intentionally.
No,
but
not
that's the problem.
not intentionally.
No, I know.
That's the problem.
But
Educate.
but you are.
Yeah, well,
that's
they're gonna
what-
make it difficult on them.
and-
Yes, they
and-
will, but I
and-
would not use the word failure.
And either way, I mean, failure is the mother of all success. So whatever you're setting somebody up for, you already, as a parent, you already gave your child life. You know, in the wild, that's all you gotta do. You know, there's animals that give you life, like snakes, and then they bounce. You know, it's all on you now because they give you life. You know, and we're a species that is made to survive no matter what. So failures happen in fucking life. You
That's
know what I
my
mean? There's a
choice.
lot of shit that happened to me that I could have said, you know, that shit set me up for failure, or I may not have this, or I may not have these opportunities, but I'm fucking alive. You know,
Sometimes you
gotta
gotta
be
learn how
as
to fail to
just
succeed.
be grateful and take the cards that you have and you know, see what you can do out of it.
And
You gotta fail before you succeed.
I
gotta go down
understand
before
all
you
that.
go up. You
I
got
understand all
confidence.
that. But if you're born from a poor family to begin with, you're already gonna have that uphill battle.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
So the parents
But-
didn't set them up. for
So
failure.
no, well, wait up. But if you're a parent and you know, like, damn, I don't know if I can put this kid through college. Fuck it, I'm gonna have 5 more. Is that right?
But I don't think they're gonna think that, hey, I'm gonna have, can't put them to college. Give me a 5 more. The way you said it, ain't nobody thinking that.
Nobody's
Okay,
thinking
so-
that because of what? Lack of education.
You
So-
need education. That's common sense.
So
That's common sense.
thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. You set them up. You set them up for failure unintentionally.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're gonna go to a quick break. We went crazy. We apologize about that if we hurt in y'all's ears, but you know, this is a pretty good talk. So
It's good.
we're gonna go to a break and we're gonna be talking back to what we were talking about, which is good and evil, but we're gonna change it up a bit, which is life after death. You know,
Or is there?
yeah, what happens after that shit? Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna be talking about that just in a couple of seconds. Thank you for listening to Ricas Platicas. Remember to subscribe if you're on YouTube. Subscribe if you're on Facebook. Like us if you're on Instagram. Follow us. If you are on podcasts, follow us and keep us up. Posted and whatever your questions are, comments, whatever. So we'll be right back. Thank you for listening to Ricas Platicas.
Ricas Platicas.
Club La Sierra los invita a que no se pierdan noches de karaoke todos los jueves y todos los grandes eventos que solamente La Sierra Event Center les trae. Sigan escuchando Ricas Platicas.
Estamos listos, raza. Estamos de regreso en Ricas Platicas. Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. But yeah, I forgot. This is an English episode, so we speak in American today.
So how do you say Ricas Platicas in English?
Ricas Platicas.
Delicious conversation.
Rico, how do you speak American?
Delicious
How you
conversation.
speak American.
I know how to speak English, not American.
Hey, that's weird though. People do
Spanglish.
speak with an American accent though. Have you seen that before? Like Dr. House when he's behind the screen, behind the scenes or whatever he does, he has a British accent.
Who?
Dr. House, or the dude that played Dr. House. Anyways.
Oh, I don't know that yet.
But when he's acting as Dr. House, he has like the perfect thing, or what they call an American accent. Tripped me out the other day when I heard
That's
that.
crazy. That's super crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's we're gonna be talking about. Okay, we're back now. We were talking about bad and evil, and that kind of led on to saying about people dying, so people could be, so people could be born. So it led us to think about life after death. So, Abel,
Oh, that's me.
what do you think happens after death, bro?
What do I think happens after?
Yeah.
I honestly think, and I don't know if I'm right or not, it's just my opinion again. I think we're reborn. I think we come back to this planet, to this earth, to this life, I don't think we're the same person again. I think we do have a spirit, a soul that gets put back into another life, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, whether it's another human.
Reincarnation.
I think we are reincarnated. Yeah, I honestly do think
What is
that.
it that leads you to believe that opinion? Or have that
Stories, that have come up. There's been a lot of things that I've seen on the internet where there's a kid that says, "Hey, I used to be this guy, and I know how I died."
How come?
And there's been proof where he goes and shows, where it happened, who killed him, and it was true.
Do you have recollection of a past life?
I don't. Personally, I don't. No, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I do. But I believe it because of what we've seen and what we've heard. Or what I've seen and what I've heard.
Now, see,
That's just my opinion. That's what I think.
But I believe it because I think there's too much going on with life itself, with people themselves, to think, oh, it just ends when your heart stops. When your body stops functioning, that's it. It's over. All darkness, nothing, that's it. Worm food.
I mean, it's the same. It's the
It's
same
too much.
thing as before you were born. It was darkness, nothing. You didn't exist until you were born. So
But
what
that
makes you
level
think
of
that anything can
consciousness
happen
for
when
that,
you're
though?
done- when you're done- when you're dead?
That's what trips me out because I kind of like I try to focus more honestly on my life as far as not what I'm gonna do after I die, but as far as what I leave behind after I die. I've never really thought about life after death, but nonetheless it's interesting to me to think in reincarnation, and maybe there is a better place out there. There's so
Oh, it's
many-
interesting. Yeah, nobody's saying it's not, but
nobody's lived
What do you
to tell its tale.
What do you think happens after death? What do you think
I
happens?
just think that's it, man. Lights out.
Lights out. That's
Lights
it.
out. You're done.
So no heaven, no hell, no afterlife.
Just lights out.
You don't believe
Well,
there's anything out there?
think about what happened before you were born.
Do you have any idea what happened before you were born?
No, I don't, and I have no idea what's really gonna happen when I die.
Exactly.
It's just my opinion of what I think
But-
might happen.
But your
No
opinion
proof.
is swayed based off of human interaction, human experience.
Exactly.
So,
It's kind of like, and
So it's
I
easier
don't want to
to
go back to
persuade
the
somebody.
to the religion part, but even in the Bible, people say, "Oh, we're gonna go to heaven. We're gonna be, again with our loved ones."
right.
And if that's true, heaven is pretty freaking packed because we've been in existence for billions of
Billions,
years.
yeah.
Are we gonna be with our caveman ancestors too?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but it's not funny. Who are we gonna be reunited with? Just your uncle, your DI, your parents, or do we come back to Earth, or like you said, is it black?
And are they even going to
Black
remember
out.
you?
That's it.
Because the Bible says that you don't really remember when you go to heaven. So that wouldn't even matter if your aunt or your uncle or your cousin or your mom or your brother was there.
And there's a lot of people that believe we'll see each other again.
Okay, so
Will we? Will we not?
you want to disclose your age right here? How old are you?
I'm 39.
Okay.
Young.
So if you were to die today, does your 39-year-old body go to heaven or
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Or does your paraplegic 5-year-old
kid.
niece that passed away go to heaven as a 5-year-old paraplegic and never grows, never gets younger? I mean, they're not smart enough as a 5-year-old to even know any kind of life experience.
I think it's too simple for that. It's more of
Or if you die as 105 years old, you go to heaven as a 105-year-old and you live a miserable life because you were miserable at 105 years old on earth.
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't
Well,
make any sense.
well,
Those are questions
and to
that
me-
we all want answered.
To
exactly.
me, this is what I think about it, because the Bible does talk about that we'll be walking on what is it, streets of gold.
So we'll all be
And-
magically 30 again or 21 or
No,
What
no,
age? Yeah.
no.
I'm with you on that one.
It's not going to be none of that. To me, when it starts talking about all the elements that there is all throughout, we're part of the elements, because when we die, we transform back into the elements again. All these elements is what made us from the beginning. Whether you want to believe that we just happened to just be the Big Bang Theory or whatever, we became from that.
What do you mean by elements though? What you say?
the elements like that?
Carbon,
Carbon,
hydrogen, iron.
monoxide, everything, everything that's out there is what makes a human. So
Water, H2O.
H2O, everything makes us. So when we die, we go back to being dirt. We go back to being iron. We go
So
back.
we're reincarnated.
No, I'm saying
Now we
like,
go back to being something else. Is that the same thing?
no, but what
Well,
I'm
that's the
saying.
same as being lights out, right?
Well, to me, what I'm talking about, like what goes to heaven, is not this. It's
not flesh.
It's actually your spirit. Your spirit
Exactly.
goes up there, and
But as a
But you're-
21-year-old, like he was saying,
here's the
no,
thing,
no,
you
no,
leave your body when you die.
It's a spirit. It's just a spirit.
You don't
That's
leave
why
your
you're
body
not
when you
gonna know
what
like
happens
what's
to
up
that
there.
spirit?
So what's the point if you have no recollection of
Well, here's the thing. I mean,
Your
what if
life
we
on
are a
Earth,
bunch of
I mean-
spirits floating up in heaven, and spirits recognize themselves? I mean, outside of any kind of understanding we have here on Earth. I mean, just because we don't understand it as humans doesn't mean it's completely out of the range of possibility.
yeah,
You
of course
understand?
not. But
Hindus call it consciousness. They say that
Spirit
consciousness
consciousness.
is like you're conscious in this moment, right? You're conscious to see your body, and to you, the eternal present moment always exists. It's never yesterday. It's never tomorrow. You always present. You always conscious. You weren't conscious before you were born, because that's not life. There is no experience of that. What's life is the experience, and this is life. So when Richard says lights out, I think it's kind of like there's just nothing there to even speak of. You know what I mean?
Then I guess just
So,
done.
because people think, oh, you're gonna be locked up in a room and it's scary and it's dark and you're gonna be dead forever. Forever doesn't even mean anything. You know what I mean? Like there is
Nothing is forever.
an experience of nothing.
there was forever before you were born, just like there'll be forever after you're gone. You know what I mean? It's just
Brief moment. That's why I believe like it's more of a gathering of spirits. You don't see your 21-year-old self. You don't see your 31-year-old self. You see who you are as a person, and every corresponding spirit who has already passed on sees you as they saw you before. So not everybody's gonna see you as that cute little 5-year-old like your grandmother would. Not everybody's gonna see you as that striving 31-year-old. You know what I mean? Spirits recognize spirits and not body.
Yeah, it's probably just like a different form of being. you
Yeah,
know,
like
it's
it's
a
just
whole
a
spirit
goes
that's,
back to-
a spirit that died at an age where they couldn't understand what you're even talking about. How do they recognize another spirit?
Well, they probably may have not recognized life itself and the human vessel itself.
So does that mean for eternity they never will understand that?
Well, I mean, energy's got to transfer everywhere. In other
Or
words,
they're
they
gonna
would
learn? You get
they
further
would
education?
understand or have a
No,
brief. I
there's
mean,
no further education. I think
No.
it's right there. It's just the spirit, and the spirit is something so different. And unless you actually believe in, like, I don't know, like I felt like I felt it before, like, because I feel something good when people pray for me. I feel like a good vibe, and that vibe is more like a spirit. So
I feel good when someone pats me on the back and tells me good job. You know what I'm saying? But
that might be a good spirit.
no, I mean, your feelings have no bearing on what's real.
So,
That's what I'm saying.
sometimes just looking at someone, you can tell they like you or they don't like you, and it's just like there's something in between there, and that's not just like humans. Like there's something in between. Even animals, sometimes they see someone that's mean or whatever, animals will start howling, like because they feel like there's something negative about this person. That negativity around that person, that aura, what they call, that's something. It's not just nothing.
Yeah,
Animals can feel it.
I think there's something very crazy about this, that even if you see science as it debunking life after death or anything like that, you have to kind of admit that there is a lot of shit we don't know. A lot of shit we don't know. Based on the things we do know, there's a whole lot of shit we don't know. So there could be other dimensions. There could be other dimensions that we have no idea. We see the flesh and bone, that's in front of us, but we don't know that there could be something else way deeper than all this, So I think that maybe we could have some form of different realm of consciousness that is just kind of peeking into this realm, believing that it's just having one life, but it's actually an eternal consciousness.
Kind of like, say you're going to the movies. You go and for 2 hours, you live that person that you're watching on the movie, right? But afterwards, it's like the movie's over and it doesn't make a difference. Let's go to the next movie. Basically, bringing life down to that.
And see, and you believe kind of within that story what's happening, and you kind of clear your mind. You don't even kind of remember the shit about your life.
You're living in their moment.
Yeah, you fly into their story, and you live that story like if that was you. You get out of the movie, and it's back to who you were. You start remembering who you are. And man, there's times I walk out of Planet of the Apes walking like a monkey because I believe that shit so much. You know what I mean? Because I think it's true. We get into character, and that's another very popular Eastern belief, that we're just living characters, believing that we are in this life. But then at the end, when the curtain closes, we take the mask off and we're a different form of
energy, being.
Yeah. But I don't know, man.
Both.
Different opinions. Some of us think we might be reincarnated. Some of us think
who
we
knows?
come back as an animal, as a human, or
Who
maybe
knows who
not.
any of us is
Maybe
right,
maybe it is just blackout, or do we continue like when we fall asleep? Is there a dream?
Well, nobody's lived to tell the tale, so
There have been
everybody's
people.
right now.
You've heard stories. And they're just stories. There's no proof. Oh, I died. I saw Jesus. He sent me back. Or I died. I saw my great grandmother.
See, but that's an out of body experience.
But are you dead? If you're out of body, there's no soul, there's no spirit, and there's no heartbeat, and they declare you dead, and the next thing you know, bam, heartbeat, you're alive, you're breathing.
The thing is, though, that when your heart stops beating, your brain is still active for a couple seconds,
But there's people that have been dead for minutes.
Just for like 15 seconds, your brain still shows activity, and it starts firing like never before. Firing big old waves.
They're having a DMT experience.
Yeah, and that's really what you're having. You're having a DMT experience. Your body is going into shock. You're dying, so it's releasing a lot of chemicals. And what happens in that moment is you start seeing, literally all kinds of vibrant and very, very, very real images that people, there's a lot of people that have had them, and scientists can actually go into your brain and
measure that,
and actually do the the whole chemical reaction on themselves, on demand. So that's what I think the whole heaven thing came from, to be honest with you. Not to I guess shit on anybody's boat, but that's what I kind of feel, that we had that out of body experience, and it was something magical. And then you come back and you're like, oh shit, I was in a whole different realm. I was in heaven. I was in a whole different place. I couldn't understand it. And people that live a horrible life on that, big wave reaction, they see horrible shit. So that's where the whole hell comes from. And I think there's a movie called The Lazarus Effect that actually scientists start doing this experiment. And they see how this girl, when she dies, she goes into this traumatic really, really traumatic effect because she was traumatized when she was a little girl. And she killed her parents, so she was traumatized. But her brain kept hiding that into when she was experimenting dying. Then as soon as she was experimenting dying, she went back into that trip, into that hell of killing her parents. So that was her after-death experience. And when she came back, she talked about a hell. So I think that's where the birth of heaven and hell kind of... For the ancients, you know, they had no way of understanding that, you know. You come back to life and you all of a sudden have this crazy-ass trip and you come back.
Well, the other thing is, like, there's been a bunch of other religions before Christianity as well. And Christianity actually stole a bunch of the stories from those guys. So, and humanity has been smart before. Like, everybody thinks like we're the smartest we've ever been to this point, and I think that's false. I think humanity has reached this level of intelligence, like, I don't know, maybe 10 times. Who's to say that humanity hasn't escaped this fucking earth? Because we've always known that this is a time bomb. Like, we know it right now. Like, yeah, at any time we could just fucking explode and fucking die. So what if and lights out, yeah, whatever you think that's gonna happen. I mean, that's a very good that's plausible.
That's the most realistic look at it, anyways.
My phone just died. Anyways.
Lights out.
Lights out for everybody that was following me on Facebook Live. But anyways,
Bring it back to life. Plug it in.
we'll plug it in, reincarnate it. But
See, we all come back, even so.
Are we playing gods right now?
You killed your phone.
Yeah.
Knowing
no,
you could have charged it and kept it alive.
this might play God later on, the AI, and that's a whole different issue for another day that we can actually talk about.
See, like that just happened, right? The fucking phone turned off. So this is
Why did it turn off? Why did it go lights out?
okay.
Why
well,
did it die?
It started running out of battery, right? It started
Why?
running low
Why was it low battery?
because this motherfucker was live the whole time.
Because of his choice not to charge it fully before he started. You set that phone up for failure.
I did, and you know what? Earlier in the day, I was on the phone and I was all like, I'm setting myself
But
up
that
for
was
failure
your choice.
because I was like, I'm gonna set myself up for failure because I'm not charging up my phone enough and I'm gonna go live. So it was
educated enough to realize that.
I was educated enough to realize that I was fucking up, and I still couldn't do nothing about it because I had to use my phone for work. So sorry everybody that was following me on the live.
I got you back.
Because
Yeah, we got you right here.
but
I got you back.
I'll make 20 more phones, so I can set them
Make sure
all.
you charge them up.
I can set all of them up for failure. But anyways, going back to what we're talking about, because it's really intense talk over here, and really loving all this different different things that everybody's bouncing off of each other right now, and this is what it's about. Like, just to throw a little pause into this whole thing, where we don't know everything. We don't know everything. Me,
I don't claim to know these things.
me, Ricardo,
These are all
Richard,
opinions,
Yeah.
plain and simple.
el Diablo over here. Nah, I won't call him
Say it right. You're gonna say it, say it right.
Lucifer and Jose. We don't know everything. We're not trying to tell you guys that we know everything, because we don't. We're just giving you our opinion on everything that we think.
And we're tipsy. I'm tipsy.
What's this wheat thing?
These things just kind of pop into our heads.
I'm sober.
And I hear them from different places, and some things resonate with me. Some ideas I like them. Some ideas I throw them away. And that's just how life is. People like different ideas based on your culture, based on your race, based on the way you grew up, your influences. You have different tastes, and different things appeal to you more. Like, oh shit, I like this. I like the way this sounds. And when it comes to religion, you grow up in your religion and you're so in love with it because your parents are in love with it, your family's in love with it. You go to church and you have a good time, because that's the way you grew up. Just keep in mind that child that's loving that religion, at the other side of the pole, there's another kid in a Buddhist temple, loving that shit the way you're loving your religion. You know, there's another person on his knees 3-4 times a day loving what he's doing because that's what he was taught. You know what I mean? So there's so much, there's so much points of views and so much ways that people rise from this earth, you know, and different perspectives. So at the end of the day, you know, like we were saying, it all goes to respect, to just hear these ideas out and not take them too far, you know, and just listen to them. If you like them, cool. If you don't,
Cool too.
cool too.
Yeah, you don't have to take any of the things that we say to heart. Like everything that we say here is like personal opinions, and of course, like it's just stuff that we've gone through in our personal lives and everything. And Richard himself, like of course, like he wants to believe in I don't know, that it's just lights out, and like that's perfect. That's perfect because
He doesn't want to believe.
no. Well,
You're not wanting to. You are believing what you believe.
I don't like the word belief though.
no, because I
You know what
mean,
I don't really believe anything.
that's his
just
conclusion.
my opinion.
That's your conclusion to right now, right?
Right, yeah.
Because
And
he's
until something else
open-minded.
comes about
He's
that proves
open-minded
otherwise,
that, and that's how we all
Are we closing out? Is that what we're doing right here? Everybody's
Well,
giving their last statement and closing out.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
So let's go around the table and let's do that. Let's
Go ahead.
close out on your opinion of what everything was said and give your statement.
Okay, sounds good. We can. We can start. Over here.
Okay, start over here.
Start with the one with the least ideas, huh? All right. So honest looks like the only option right here. The best thing you can do with your life is do what feels good. Do what you know is right. Do what you know in your conscience is right. Whether you believe or not to believe, it doesn't matter. Just respect everybody else. You know, who knows what's waiting on the other side for us? Nobody's lived to, like I said, nobody's lived to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So respect everybody else's, because I mean they love their idea as much as you love yours.
Yep.
Damn, Jose, I like that. You know what?
That was a good one.
Can I
He took all my
repeat
lines.
that and
Can I copy
give it as my
paste?
statement?
Pour it hard,
That
buddy.
was our brother Jose.
Pour your heart.
For everyone that doesn't know.
Awesome. I thought we were going that way. Well, as far as everything, the life after death, heaven and hell, I have my beliefs where I think there is a heaven, there is a hell. At the same time, I believe, like he does, you know, lights out, you know. But at the same time, I do believe that there's something else after death. I believe, in my opinion, that we are reborn, that we do come back to this earth, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, whether it's another human. That's just my belief, my opinion. In other words, everybody's entitled to it, you know, their own opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. But that's the beauty of this world.
Yeah.
Will it ever be perfect? I don't believe so. Because if it was perfect, then we have nothing to look forward for. You know? So I just believe in your beliefs, stay strong, have a good life, and enjoy it, because you don't know if there is another one after this.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I like that last statement. I kind of want to just bounce what Jose said. You know what I mean? Just be a decent person, man. Don't leave your life tied to a book or tied to an idea. Don't be so stuck in your own ego that you can't, you know, enjoy what this life is all about. You know what I mean? This is your one guaranteed shot at a life, because obviously we're all here. So, you know, make the best of it, because there's no guarantee that there's one after or before. So.
well, yeah, I'm on the same page with everybody here. It's like it's about respect, and this life is about respect. Respect yourself. Respect like the girls out there that are listening to this. Respect yourselves. Like all the time when you go out, whatever. Like make sure that you're respecting yourself. Guys, respect yourselves too. Don't stay tied up to something that's not there. And at the end of the whole thing is the same thing as like what these guys are saying. None of us know what's really out there at the end. So at the end of the day is just respecting each other's beliefs and have an open mind. Like right here, like none of us are fighting. If you notice that, we all like have different beliefs about everything, and all of us can keep a easygoing mind and actually like intake what everybody else is saying. Try doing that in your everyday life. And the other thing is, if you see something that's fucked up, like what's going on right now, don't try to justify it. Don't try to justify something that's fucked up just because your beliefs are so strong, because you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, or whatever. That's not not what it's about. Be a decent human being.
Yeah, I second that, bro. Yeah, I agree with everyone too. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you know, it kind of sums up with this. You know, whatever floats your boat, and not to sound like that, but we all have a boat. We all have a destiny, a goal we're trying to, you know, navigate to in life. You have dreams. I believe everyone has dreams, things they want to accomplish before they die. You know, obstacles that they want to jump over. Whatever helps you do that, you know what I mean? Whatever helps you obtain your goals, your destiny, whatever you're born to live for, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, I think that's where the struggle comes, is whenever you start letting things stop you from becoming the man or the woman you want to become. And that's my religion, you know, to just love yourself, love your goals, and try to be a good person and try to accomplish your goals, and that's it. That's it. Live an awesome life.
Camera guy.
Man.
Give him the mic.
There you go for it. I just believe, what I believe is just develop a positive perspective on things. We all have a different perspective. We all come from different places, different times. Just develop a positive perspective. That's all I gotta say, you know, and don't judge others. I know I've done it before. I'm guilty of it. It's just the spur of the moment, but you have to be open-minded and let them speak, because just remember, it's gonna be your turn to speak after them, and so just be positive and take everything positively and see how you can apply it to your life. And if you can't, just leave it alone. You know, leave that person alone and move on positively.
Awesome.
But that's it.
Yeah.